Welcome to our Honda build-off presented by Continental Tire. Today I am revealing what I am building to compete against the mighty Integra Type R. Before I go pulling the cover off of this vehicle and show you what it is, we did end up shooting some footage when I was purchasing this car, and Dave hadn't seen this vehicle, and there's a pretty cool backstory behind it. So before I get into any of that, what I wanted to do is show you guys the footage of us picking the car up and me surprising Dave with it. You ready for this?
I'm ready, man. I know where I am. We're at ART Motorsports.
Yeah,
and,
the car's been sitting here, yeah.
Oh, damn, look at this. This
look
is
at
it.
this is it, buddy. This is it.
It's got fresh paint on it?
EK Civic hatchback.
The paint is super nice. Is this like a show car you bought? Like, what is going on? Are we going hard?
Well, I think it may, I think a different shop built this car as a giveaway car, and I think my buddy Vince ended up buying it, and then he ended up parting it out. So
that's why it's on Stamp Steelies?
It is on Stamp Steelies.
And it's got like red carpet in it from Grandma's basement.
Oh no, does it? I haven't.
A little bit in the back there, yeah, a little grandma-ish.
Okay, all right. I thought we were going with the Type R
well, the front
approach
looks like
on
it
it.
might be legit Type R, but the back looks like
it's
from
yeah,
Grandma's.
okay. That's okay.
It's held down by
that's
like
okay.
Robertson
Well, wait till you see what's under the hood here, buddy.
Say. To me, it's looking suspiciously light in the front end. So let's see what you got in here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Still, it's a freshly painted bay.
Yeah,
it looks great.
It's been freshly painted. It looks great in here, and what more importantly, if you look at the mounts, it should give away what's going in here.
Yes, it's been hacked. It's a K swap car, obviously.
It is, yes, man, yes.
You're gonna stay K?
I'm going K, and I figured this would be a great B versus K build-off here.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Where, you know, we can kind of like set our budgets and build both cars to a certain level.
I've got the greatest B car of all time, and you've got another, you know, cookie cutter cakes.
Oh, come on, man. Look at this thing.
Already begun. It does look great, actually.
Yeah.
The headlights are nice. It's a great starting point for a project. I didn't expect you to buy a rolling shell, so we got some work to do here.
We do. Well, anyways, let's get this thing loaded up and back to the shop, and we can chat a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Right now we are blocking the way here, so it is time to get loaded up here. All right, backing this thing up into the shop here, and man, it's looking pretty good, DP.
Yeah, I don't know about this rear bumper though, buddy.
So yes, these are in fact speed holes. This is kind of a cool plate that people put on when they go drag racing. And this car was originally an all-motor K car. So I did find out some more information on it. It was built by Garage 16 as a giveaway car, as I mentioned. And really, this thing dropped into my lap. The funny story is, when we went to pick up the Type R, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, my buddy Vince hit me up and said, hey, I'm trying to sell this Civic hatchback. Would you be interested, or do you know anybody interested? And at that point, me and Dave really weren't thinking about having a Honda build off, but I was like, this has gotta be fate. It really does, that, you know, this has just dropped in. How cool would it be to build, you know, a lightweight K-Series motor Civic hatch versus the almighty Type R and give it a run for the money?
Yeah,
so,
it gives us like the perfect B versus K build off. And what did you pay for this car, by the way, B?
So I purchased this car for $2,600 Canadian, which is around $2,000 US. So again, pre-COVID pricing, it was a good price then, and I think it is still a good price now. And you can see this thing has been painted, and that's, I think, a huge bonus for me, because I don't have to get into the cosmetics of this vehicle. Cosmetically, it is already pretty good. This looks to be a stripper version. Like, it has crank windows. It does not have AC. You can certainly tell lightness was the theme, I think, when Garage 16 built this. It already has deleted the rear wiper, and there is a full rear seat delete going on here. And there's a bunch of small little parts. It does have look at this. What is it? The privacy tray still exists. You know, when you want to cover everything up and then let people have to just like look through the back in there, which is kind of a weird thing to have in here. There are some wipers that are non-existent up front. Oh, more Garage 16 decals, and carpet here, you were knocking this, but this does look like it is the finest of carpet that has been glued on here. Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with probably a 3M job, much like we did. We're bad at this stuff too, so I'm not going to bad talk anybody who did this job, because you know it's how it goes. And oh wow, look at this. There's a couple. Bonus DP. Guess who just scored some K-tuned hoses?
Nice.
Gonna have to take those out of the budget.
Yeah, good to see there's like no giant rust holes under.
No. It's actually it's a pretty decent car for cleanliness. It is a little peculiar that the carpet was cut on the edges here.
Yeah.
I don't really understand.
So you can lift the center section out without the sides coming up. Because the center section lifts, right?
I mean, you could have just left the carpet here. The center section just lifts up anyways. So
yeah, I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So you can, I bet you under here, much of the same. Oh, this is actually bolted down. So.
Oh, fancy. It's all coming out, I assume?
Man, I'm gonna leave it. Why not?
I
mean, it's kind of has that bit of like a, you know, like you said, the poor man's Type R look. Why not?
All right.
I think I should leave it.
Okay.
So in here you can see things have been stripped out pretty badly. They did, however, leave. I like this. This is like a little panel that's going to have a K-tuned shifter mounted here. If you guys can't tell, there was a massive K-tuned banner here. So this car definitely had a ton of K-tuned parts on it, which is, once again, a really good thing for me because we'll be able to recreate things. What I don't love is they relocated the whole fuse panel box and all the relays down to here. So there's been some wires that have been moved around. I really dislike buying projects that have had a lot of wiring redone because you just never know what you can get into. You know, if we end up putting the engine in, trying to start it, and then it doesn't start, there could be a whole plethora of problems. But I'm hoping K-swaps are a dime a dozen these days. Like, people know what they're doing, so hopefully the wiring isn't screwed up. There was one random gauge here. You can see this does come out. And the troubling part for me is someone's hacked up, maybe there was a panel here or something else, but someone's hacked up the vents here. So you can see this vent is like completely goners.
Yeah, it's weird. Which
is super ghetto, and I don't really understand why, but you know, it was hacked up. So hopefully I will try to fix that. There's no cluster. Things like the roof liner also had a full suede job done. It is peeling in spots here and there, but man, it's soft. I like it a lot. These panels have been painted gray to match the interior. You can see, I think all of this would have been black, but it's been painted too, which honestly, like, I don't mind it. The rear is just, it's stripped. It's cool. I'm down with it. Before I pop this hood, can I just say, I really think this is such a neat color. It's almost like a Nardo gray off of a Lamborghini or something. And the flatness of it looks super rad on a Civic, doesn't it,
cool.
DP?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And the theme continues back into the engine bay here. You can see they went and took care of the whole bay. It has been painted. There is not a lot left here. And as you can see, the wiring is all but gone. There is wiring in areas such as this here, which is a little concerning. I'm not exactly sure what this is for. There's wires that have been cut here. That is not great as well.
Maybe, yeah.
Who knows? There is no support bar. You can see this bumper is just kind of like hanging on, so there's no support bar up front here, which kind of sucks. This thing was an all-motor car, as I mentioned, and you can see they had an actual like intake coming through here, so this just has been cut, which really sucks. But I'm thinking I can get creative with it. I don't want to, you know, budget for a new bumper. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna buy a little piece here and like stick it in and plastic weld it in there, and it should kind of like fit the part. The headlights are not OE. Man, if I had the budget for a set of like EK9 Type R ones.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I like them. They're not terrible. They're not terrible. I just hate like this area is blacked out. If that was like chrome like that, then it would be a little bit better, you know, more EK9, more JDM spec. I don't, if you guys know in the comments, I don't know what booster this is. It does look like it's a very small booster. Maybe I'll end up running this. I might delete it. You can see there's no ABS on this. This does look to have a EGDC subframe, which is nice. the power steering was looped. I do want power steering back in here. So as you guys can see, it's gonna be a lot of work. It's a typical PT project where there's a lot to be done, but we have built Hondas in the past. This is gonna be like my third or fourth K-swap, so I'm confident in it. Like I said, we're just gonna run into a couple things here and there that may set us back a bit. But let's get this car up on the hoist because honestly, I haven't even seen underneath it. So it's either gonna be full of surprises or I'm gonna be thanking myself for buying this thing. I'm already feeling victorious here because underneath this thing is not rotted. It is actually a pretty clean shell considering this is a Canadian car. It's just got like minor rust, surface rust along the edges here, but you can see underneath it's very, very sturdy and solid. I think the rustiest part actually is this subframe, you know, the suspension and all that stuff is gonna need some rework. There is some not so good stuff going on in the front here. I'm going to save it. I'll pull the bumper off and we can look at that and I'll show you what I'm contending with there because that is definitely not good. Looking at the brakes, we're gonna have to pull a wheel off, DP, and look at this because man, these are actually pretty big brakes. All things considered, it's got some stainless steel brake lines, which is really, really nice. I'm gonna have to redo a ton of these bushings and some of this control arm stuff, but I had budgeted for that because you know, we're building a track car here. In the back here, it does have new parking brakes. Bushings have already been pushed into these. What isn't good here is you can see this. And this is, I assume, a little bit of JB Weld or some seam sealer that has closed off two cuts that have been made here. And this was probably peeled back to access a very, very rusty nut and probably bolt that was holding this rear tow arm in place. And that's usually what happens here is these just get so rotted that you can't pull them out and then they spin and you're screwed. And then you got to do this kind of like quick little mod. It's not rusty at all. And it's got a disc conversion on here too. So wow, like, man, we are on the up and up here. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is a bad thing or a good thing, but as you guys can see, we are missing the whole front lower portion of the rad support here. So it has been cut here and it has been cut here. So
what is that? Is that a drag racing thing?
I think it is. There was a traction bar.
Oh, okay.
So traction bar does go here. And the traction bar is actually not bad for the racetrack as well. It just, you know, enhances, it helps reduce wheel hop and all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And really, I'm just gonna have to buy one from K-Tune and bolt it up and it should work. It just kind of aesthetically, it makes me nervous to think like all this is gone. I definitely wanna put a rebar back on here because it really needs to. Hopefully this wiring isn't gonna be a problem, but it still has the spots for the rebar. I think that'll just help bring a little bit of rigidity back to this. The other thing you will notice is this. They relocated the battery to the front here, which is, I assume, also a drag racing thing to have the battery up front, more weight on the wheels. I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea, so I may end up keeping it rather than like putting it back inside the engine bay. This is already pre-run, so yeah, I'm thinking this might work. I don't know where.
Like wheel and tire clearance issues.
Yeah, I was looking at it. It might be close. We'll have to find out. So this does look like the whole subframe, as I mentioned, is likely from a DC2 Integra, and I'm pretty sure these are DC2 Integra brakes as well. I'm kind of going back and forth whether I'm going to use these or not. I had a better idea for it. You know, going with the bigger Type R stuff, but let me do a little brainstorming. I may call an audible here and figure this out. And here is the motor and transmission that is going into this EK. I purchased this way back. We actually have a video of me and Dave pulling this exact engine and transmission out of an RSX. And we got it for $800, which is around, or Canadian, which is around $600 US, which is a hell of a score, but we did have to pull it out ourselves. There was a bunch of work involved. I don't even think you can get anything close. Maybe you can buy an engine for $600 these days, but not for sure with the gearbox. You can see it is dirty. We did compression test this motor. It was healthy at around like 210 PSI. It's just really, really dirty. So maybe what we'll do is we'll clean this thing up because I'm feeling a little anxious right now how dirty it is. And I want to make myself feel better that this is going to be a good motor and it's going to look good inside this beautiful car. So let's get out the power washing equipment, the engine cleaner and all that, and let's make this happen. Unbelievable, man. A quick power wash and this engine looks, it's a different motor. I didn't spend any time on the valve cover because I'm gonna be switching it out, but like, look at, the transmission looks like it's new again. The block itself, like this was so grimy. And like, look at this. Look at this. It's so good. Like aside from rusty brackets, this engine has gone from, you know, making me feel like, oh, it was a turd to now actually quite good. Dave put a little bit of time in with the parts cleaner and I did a little bit of power washing for this intake manifold. And you can see, like this was black, guys. If you guys remember, this was all black. It's cleaned up so well. What we're gonna try though is we're gonna put this into the vapor honer because, well, that doesn't affect our budget. It's just cleaning it up. And I do wanna see how much nicer we can get this because this is, I'd say like 90% nice. If we can get this to 100, I am gonna be running this manifold. I know some of you are gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be telling me, well, it's only like $200 to go to the RBC one, but it's like 10 peak horsepower, and I feel in the spirit I should keep this. You know, I gotta give Dave some leeway here because obviously this K motor is just gonna destroy. So this is to me, you know, like we'll call it a restrictor, right, DP?
Sure, we can call it that.
And this is 25 minutes of vapor honing, and you can see the finish just looks nice. It gives it kind of like a satin look, and it really brings the aluminum up. We still haven't washed this, so it's a little dirty with some media, but man, it works wonders in that sense. Next up here, we are going to separate the gearbox from the transmission because I don't recall the condition of this clutch. And we do not want to risk it. The last thing I want to do is put everything together and have a slipping clutch. I also have a backup plan if this clutch is bad. So we'll see in a second here. It's always like a bit of a battle. Probably lock our cart.
I'm gonna lock the cart?
Or just hold it and I'll... Yeah. Yeah, this thing's like, man, brand new. This is not worn at all. Like this clutch is.
I mean, it's not new, but it's not worn out.
No, well, look at it. It's so far away from those rivets.
Yeah.
So it
and
doesn't.
The flywheel looks pretty good too.
Yeah, it's not like it's got a ton of heat spots on it. So that is also a good sign. I just want to know the brand here. Made in Japan. Oh, we got an Exetti. So with the power level that I'm aiming for, this clutch is gonna be more than fine. So we're gonna put this back in. I am glad I checked though, because the throw bearing here, you can see first of all, the amount of dirt on it, to me means it likely wasn't changed when the clutch was changed. And you can see the bearings just a little bit worn. So into the stash I went, pulled out this guy. That's right, people. I have random release bearings kicking around here, and this one is in much better shape. So we're just gonna swap that onto here and then put this gearbox back in. But first, we're gonna lube this stuff up here too, DP, because look at this. It is a little dry. So we're gonna do a little bit of cleaning and then a little bit of lubing.
Swap clutches much, PT?
See, that's why I keep all this stuff. We were just I was looking at it thinking, uh-oh, we're in trouble. How are we gonna center this clutch? no problem. Just go up to the clutch, what are these called? Alignment tools, and look at, so many of them. So many. And I actually think I've got a brand new throw bearing as well. But we're gonna run that one just because it's the OE one.
Who's the genius who decided to start labeling them though, PT? I think we have to admit that.
That is, yes. You've done some labeling here.
Done some tuning. So with used parts like that release bearing, PT, how are we going to factor that into the budget? Are we just going to like say every time you go to the stash, it's like a $5 penalty? What are we going to do here?
Man, I was thinking about that. Like, do we want to get that anal where, I mean, if I go into the parts stash and I pull out, you know, a $2,000 brake kit, then sure, penalize me for that. But these kind of small things, like everyone's got little parts stashes kicking around. Granted, mine are a little bit bigger than most. But I think we should just, you know, have a gentleman's agreement. If you think it's fine, or if you want to, you know, tax me on it, then that's fine. And we can kind of, you know, figure it out that way. But
I think a used release bearing I'll give you for free.
That's what I mean. So it's like, you know, if there's something that I go into my stash to find, and, you know, vice versa, if you find something in my stash, like maybe it's parts that we've got laying around. So
yeah. Fair enough.
We're not paying for them
They're
technically.
Here for this exact reason.
All right, guys, that is going to be a wrap on this episode. Please post in the comments. Tell me what you think of my new EK hatch, because I am super pumped on it. And this would not be a PT project without a parts car. That's right. Huge thanks to Matt. This kind of fell into my hands. Matt, one of our fans, messaged me and it's like, listen, I'm moving cross country. I've got this old Civic. I'm gonna scrap it. And I said, wait, don't. I will definitely take it. I need it for parts. And it is, first of all, let's just have a quick peek. You can see she's a bit of a beater. It's not savable. I know there's people out there. Last time we talked about scrapping a car, people were like, whoa, you're crazy for trying to scrap this car. This car definitely has seen better days. She's a bit rusty. This is your typical Civic rot back in the corner here. Oh yeah, you can see that. It's good, it's real good. It's ready for the scrapyard. But there's a ton of parts that I'm going to be using off of this car. This is actually a running and driving vehicle. But for example, things like washer nozzles there, a power steering pump. If I want to relocate the battery back to its original spot, that's there. If I need a rebar, that's there. There's just so many of these small little hard to find parts that I would get nickel and dimed to death if I was trying to like buy them used. So having a whole parts car like this is gonna be huge, although there may be some rust factors, but we will get into that in the next episode. So
hold on, PT, budget. What did this thing cost you?
Whoa, DP.
Not letting you wrap it up without telling us the numbers here. So.
Well, Matt was a kind man. He was a kind man. You know what? He offered me this car for $300, but I was like, dude, that is way too cheap. So I told him $500 is probably what you get at the scrapyard for it, and that's what I paid Canadian. So that is around what, $350, 400 US. So we'll make sure to, you know, keep posting the tally there. And yeah, so I will likely be able to sell a bunch of parts off of this car too.
Oh, I see.
And recoup it later. So, you know,
dirty.
it might happen. It might happen. So get pumped, guys. This series is just getting started and it is going to be a good one. So make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.